And we'll begin now. And I'm going to
We
share
have the link, by the way, posted on our Facebook site. So people that want to look at past meetings, like this one will be a past one, there should be the link there.
Right. Our past meetings going back to June, I believe, are posted on YouTube for review if you're so inclined, if you want to hear about some of our speakers. But again, to our guests, my name is Will McGriff. I'm the past president for the Midtown Memphis Rotary Club. I'm welcoming you on behalf of Charlotte Hoyle, who's our current president and who is logging in as we speak. And I imagine she'll join us shortly. To begin with, though, if you would please join me in the four-way test. I remembered it this time. Okay.
Yay.
So, of the things we think, say, and do,
Is it the
Is it the
truth?
truth?
is it fair to
Fair to
all
all
concerned?
concerned.
Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
Better friendships.
Will it be
beneficial
to all concerned?
All right. Thank you all very much. And I'll stop that share now. And I'm afraid I'm a bit of a loss. I'm not sure, Mary, who invited you. Was Denise, were you responsible for her invitation today?
I think, did Charlotte originally contact you, Mary?
Yes.
Okay, I'm jumping the gun. Okay, she's saying that she's lined up Jen for introduction, and Jen will conduct the Q&A. In advance of that, though, before we make that handoff, just a couple of notes. There's first the comment from, or the reminder rather, from Denise about the Purple Pinky Donuts, which is a polio project, a fundraising project, where you can purchase Purple Pinky Donuts. And here is the link. And if you go to the District 6800 map, I think that's what you need to do to sign up and participate in the Purple Pinky Project to order donuts. And you also, I think, need to send an email. It might be easiest if we just send this email back out. So I'll work with Charlotte to make sure we send the email back out to everybody. So you have the steps in front of you, but here's the starting point, is to click on this and follow the process for ordering donuts, and the money that you spend on the donuts is matched, and it helps at the district level and goes towards the polio project, polio eradication project of Rotary. In addition to that, yes.
Will, also people that still have the reminder for this meeting, there's details about it and they can follow those links as well.
Great. And you know what? I'm looking at my screen now and I just realized that BJ is joining us. So she's going to be logging in. I imagine she wants to speak up. Let me give her just a moment to connect to audio. Looks like she's joining us right now. In advance of that, let me just remind you, there's also the District 6800 5K coming up. It's called the Rotary Because We Care 5K. It's a virtual 5K, and you can sign up to be a member of our race team. I think thanks to Helen, our club race roster has like tripled in size. So we now have 6 where we previously had 2. And I'm happy to see, in regards to a virtual race, though, it just means that you would sign up to participate, and then on your own time in a given span of days, you would walk 5K. I don't think you even have to walk 5K. You can just be a race member if you want to support it in that way, or you can run and then you can record your time as you see fit and are interested in performing it. Remember, though, it's a fundraiser within the district. It's first organized by the founding team, which I forget. It's, I think, from maybe North Memphis or maybe Millington, I forget. But within the district, the way it'll work is that of the money that's raised, a third of it will go to that hosting team or club, hosting team in the club. A third will go to the Rotary Foundation, and a third will go to the charity or service project of choice as selected by the founding team, I believe. So if we win, and by winning, we have to have the most funds raised, I think, per person. It doesn't have to be a total amount, given that we're not necessarily the biggest club. But if we win, then we get to choose the charity or the service organization that will receive the funds in the coming year. So there's a good reason to participate, just to get out and move around, or get out and try for a personal record. But at any rate, you're just going to be supporting the Rotary efforts in the district. So now I was going to actually reach it back out to BJ. BJ, I don't know if you want to chime in. Your timing is excellent. We were just talking about the Purple Pinky Donut Project a moment ago for polio eradication. Do you want to say a few words and motivate us to eat donuts?
Yes, thank you so very much, and appreciate you all jumping on board here for our second time around with this End Polio Now effort. And Purple Pinky Day is up next Tuesday, and Midtown is stepping right on up, and we really appreciate that. This is the one time that we get a chance to get rid of polio, make a donation that is multiplied by 9 times. So we really appreciate your contributions there, and to just go ahead and make sure that everyone is doing your pre-orders up through Friday. And if you need anything to happen even between Friday and Tuesday, just give me a quick call and we'll make sure that it's taken care of. We appreciate your participation, and just let me know if there's anything that I can do to help. We've got Collierville that's now they're at 160 boxes as of yesterday. And so they're helping us to lead the pack. We are just very grateful for Midtown and all you do.
Thank you, BJ.
Oh, thank you.
So where you want to hand it over now to
Absolutely.
Jen? Okay.
All right, Jen, please take it away.
Okay. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Great. Well, I have the honor of introducing our speaker today, Dr. Mary McDonald, who is the founder and CEO of MCD Partners, which is a national consulting company that provides educational consulting and models for success. She was previously in the education profession for 37 years, and she formerly served as the Superintendent of Catholic Schools. And I was a student of a Catholic school during her superintendent at Immaculate Conception. So special honor for me. And she has also hosted the weekly talk show, Seize the Day, on KWAM 990 AM, and writes regular column for the Memphis Daily News. She also helped create the Jubilee Network. And if, for those of you not familiar with the Jubilee Network, it was a group of schools, Catholic schools, that served some of Memphis's more financially limited students in the area. Unfortunately, the schools have closed except for a few, which are now, I believe, run as charters and separate from the Catholic school system. But Dr. McDonald's work in the school system in particular has been important and wonderful. I benefited from her leadership, and I am honored to be able to introduce her today.
Well, thank you, Jen. I appreciate the introduction, and I'm glad to see that you've taken on leadership roles yourself. This is what I guess my topic is all about, is that mentoring, somebody recognizing the abilities of another person. So I'm glad to see you there. And Rotary itself is rooted in helping others. That's basically what you do. But it's a great topic for Rotary because it's helping other people fulfill their potential. And you never really know how far reaching your influence is. I know I probably shook your hand at graduation, Jen, but I may not have known you personally, but just being able to help another person or give another person an opportunity is really what mentoring does. And it's really that motto that you live in Rotary, service above self, because you're thinking about how you can help another person. And I know you've been talking about what is a seemingly impossible project that you have, eradicating polio in the whole world. But that rippling effect of goodness that's really changed the world started by the affirmations and encouragement of one person to another. Is like, do you think we can do this? Yes, we can do this. And that's what mentoring and encouraging and affirming other people is all about. Mentoring is really a catalyst for change in a person's life or in the world. For the Rotary, you mentor all the time. It just is part of who you are and what you do. Everyone you invite to visit a Rotary meeting, recruit for membership, or everyone you would appoint to a committee. I know sometimes you call it voluntold instead of volunteered, but everyone that you do, you recognize that someone has a talent that fits a need, and maybe they didn't even know that. And I think that's the best part about being a mentor for another person. And right now, if you sat there and you could think of, how did you get here? How did you get there where you are right now? Whether it's at your office, how did you get there? Did someone recognize something in you that put you down a whole different path than what you thought you were doing? How did you get into Rotary? I mean, here you are giving your time and your talent and helping other people, but how did you get to Rotary? That's what mentoring does. It recognizes that you have something to give. And what that is very valuable and needed by the rest of the community. I know when I was a teacher, I just loved the opportunity I had to mentor other people, particularly students at the junior high school level, because they're just so filled with self-doubt. I know it comes across as bravado, but really they're just pretty much afraid. But it was just such a joy to recognize something in them and talk to them about that they didn't know they have. And I remember telling one young man, he was always trying to talk himself out of trouble. And I said, you should be a politician. Well, today he is, and he's very well placed in the city of Memphis. So, but I won't say who he is because I don't want to get him in trouble. But sometimes a gift that somebody doesn't know they have, when you recognize it, then it affirms it in them. When I was superintendent, the first thing I did was start a leadership academy. And I asked all the principals to identify teachers in their schools that had leadership potential, that looked like they could really have the organizational skills, the drive, the talent to be a leader. And so we started the academy, and it was a 2-year program, and they volunteered for it. So it wasn't anything they got paid for, but it was something extra they committed to. And from that program, most of them went on to be principals in the schools, either our schools or other schools, but they were trained for leadership. They saw what it looked like, and mentoring them provided Memphis with a whole cadre of people trained to be principals in the schools. And I also, part of that was to mentor principals to be superintendent. I wanted to make my job look so easy, everybody would want it. But really, I wanted them to know just what it entailed. And I think one of the things that I'm most grateful for was right now, today, 8 of the principals that I had hired to be principals then and went through that training are now sitting superintendents in cities across the country. One of them is superintendent in Chicago, which is one of the largest school districts in the country. So I know he got a start here in Memphis, and what he learned, he's now teaching others, and he started that same sort of process there. So that's what mentoring is passing things from one group of people, one person to another. It doesn't always have to be at your work. It can be a friend or someone that you know well. One of my friends is actually, he's 99 years old, but when he was 98, he kept talking to me about wanting to write a book, and I'm thinking to myself, he better do it soon. He could live for 10 more years, but he probably should think about it. And he always talked about writing this book, and I could tell he had it in him. He had a book in him, but he just didn't think he could do it. So I said, well, you're going to do it. So we would meet weekly so I could hold him accountable for the next chapter or the next paragraph or whatever it was, and help him to remember those stories that he wanted to tell. Well, just 2 weeks ago, his book at 99 and a half, 99 and 3/4 was published. And so you're never too young to mentor or be mentored, and you're never too old to mentor or be mentored. So you just want to look around for those people around you that could use that little bit of affirmation. You may know them or you may not know them. You may see some, I'm thinking like a challenge would be tomorrow when you go to work or you go home or wherever it is that you stop at Starbucks, whatever, if you see somebody who's doing something or looks like they could use a word of affirmation, if that came from you, that's what Rotary does, put service above self. And you're talking about serving someone else in their need. When I was in a store, kind of a variety store, probably was about a year ago, I just noticed that it was one of the clerks was actually doing a really great job, just effervescent, engaged. It was it was an hourly worker's job, but he made it seem like it was the best job in the world. And I just kind of watched him as he talked to everybody. And so when it was my turn to check out, I said, you should be running this place. I said, it would be a lot better with you in charge. I said, you really know how to work with people. And he just laughed. And I went back there probably about a couple months later. And this young man walks up to me. He said, he had a badge on, and he said, I'm the manager. I said, oh, that's nice. I didn't recognize him at first. He said, you told me I could be the manager, and I had forgotten that I had told him to take over. But he said, and so I went through their management training program, and now I'm the manager. And a word from you, whoever you are, means so much to someone who doesn't hear a whole lot of affirmations, doesn't hear a whole lot of words of encouragement. Mentoring isn't only teaching someone how to do a job or helping somebody to learn how to do something. It's also motivating and inspiring them to be the best version of themselves that they can be. It's really more about releasing the potential that everyone has to be great, that everyone has to be the best that they can be. And usually 99.9% of the time, they pass that on. It's just that rippling effect gets carried on. You know, when you meet somebody who is like in a really bad mood and they start, grousing about things, and you hear them, and maybe that kind of sets the tone for your day. Well, the opposite is even more affirming, that when somebody stops to say something good, affirming, positive, or recognizes your kindness, your goodness, or something you do well, that's mentoring. I know that there's a lot of official mentoring. I do a lot of executive coaching, and that's good for people to get better at what they do. But it doesn't take a program to encourage someone else to be great. And I think that's what's the most fun about looking back at my life and the people I have met, the ones who told me that I could be a teacher, that I could be a principal, that I could be a superintendent, that I could start my own business. I mean, remember what I was thinking about, leaving the superintendency. My son gave me a book on consulting. He said, I think you'd be really good at that. So it doesn't matter who you are, what age you are, what relationship you have. When somebody recognizes that you can do something, then you do it. And it gives you the encouragement to do that. So when you're going to take a leap of faith or a risk, take it with that affirmation that someone gave you to do it, and empower others to recognize what they can do. I know you may have some questions about the mentoring or coaching, so I'd be happy to answer any that you have.
I think probably we need to unmute a lot of people.
Oh, there's a little pause. That's okay.
I guess in my old age, this is the hand talking here, Denise.
I know.
You know, I've tried to do the same kind of thing that you mentioned about particularly service people and people that really don't have a lot of control over their own lives, who do an exceptional job of providing service. In fact, I just ran into a friend that I knew from high school that's still doing like a sales clerk job at Lowe's. And he just did an exceptional job. He just went out of his way to help me find shoe goo, which is something that you put your shoe back together when the sole's falling off or whatever. Anyway, and it was just, you know, I think it made his day that somebody cared.
You know, it's funny that you mentioned that, but that is true. Just to the people that you don't know probably are the most affected because they think that's a very honest opinion. Sometimes people say, well, you have to say that because you're my mother, or you have to say that because you're my friend. But sometimes hearing from somebody you don't know is important too. But for Rotary, I think that the impact, I have seen the impact that you have had on the lives of the students that you help. I know you have many programs, you have some scholarship programs. I still hear from a student who got a Rotary award for courage, for, you know, overcoming odds. And she's in her 30s now. But that award from Rotary, that recognition from Rotary meant so much to her. It changed her entire life. The fact that she had a disease that she could not overcome, but she overcame it in ways in doing things. She even has a job now. That was all due to the recognition of Rotary, because no one ever noticed that she could do it, and you believed in her, and so she's doing it. To me, that's mentoring. That's telling somebody that you're able to do whatever it is that you want to do, reaching your potential. So thank you, Rotary, for that and what you've done for the students in this city, for sure. So thank you, Jen, for inviting me.
I have a question, a
Yes.
comment. I would just like to thank you so much, Dr. McDonald. I was the parent, what it's called, parent teacher president at Immaculate Conception. And just the way that you interacted with the students, all of the students, no matter any differences, that meant a lot to not only me, I think it meant a lot to the students. And just that touch of kindness that you always exhibit means a lot. The other thing is to begin the Jubilee schools. I mean, that's a national model, and it's almost like something we need now. I know you're probably not interested now, but the amazing work that you did with the Jubilee schools is to be commended. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, because it took a lot of people, a lot of hard work from everyone. It was not something that was easy to do, because a lot of people thought it couldn't be done. And I got a lot of, I guess, pushback and grief, but we kept pushing forward. I agree with you, Char. I believe that they are needed now more than ever, and I'm sorry that they're not there. I know they continued in a way that they're charter schools now, so they're still serving the neighborhoods. But that faith-based bent that they had, I think, was very helpful to the children. And I appreciate what you said about the students. I love the students. I love them. And when you just love them. But it is a national model, and I actually have been going around the country implementing that model in other places. Philadelphia has opened now 15 of them. So their impact still goes on, even though it's not here in Memphis, but maybe someday it will come back. I hope so.
So Dr. McDonald, just as a sort of follow-up to the Jubilee question, I was a Christian Brothers student, and so, you know, I think you were over us as well, and I volunteered at Little Flower.
Oh, great. Mm-hmm.
So just sort of, I'm in fundraising now, and I wanted to just ask you, do you have any advice when you have a great cause? You know, how did you get that attention and momentum in starting out?
I guess I was so driven by the mission of what the Jubilee schools could do. and I knew that they could change the face of education in Memphis. And I talked about them being a catalyst. I know that not everybody would go to a Jubilee school or want to go to one. Not everybody wanted to go to a Catholic school, but having them in the neighborhoods they served would make other people sit up and take notice. When we started those 22 years ago, no one was looking at inner city Memphis and the education for the children there. And people would say, well, there's nobody living in the inner city. I said, yes, there are. There's children there. And so just it made other education systems sit up and take notice and say, oh my goodness, if they can do that, we should be doing something. So it really was a catalyst for change in education that's still going on in Memphis today. But I talked to everyone I could, whether they listened or not. I spoke to groups, organizations, Rotaries, just to get the word out that this was not about starting a school. This was about changing Memphis for the better for the children in Memphis. And today, those children who started with us 22 years ago in kindergarten have graduated from high schools, colleges, graduate schools, and have gone on, most of them have gone on to be very, very successful. We have had amazing, we've given them a path that they wouldn't have had. And the predictions were negative against them, what their life would look like. And now they're running companies, they're entrepreneurs, they're doctors, they're lawyers, they're out there, they're teachers. So I think when you express the passion, money follows the mission. It was never about money. I never talked about money. I just talked about what the money in other people's pockets could do for those children, you know? Did that answer your question, Brian?
Absolutely, I appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much for inviting me to come, and I would be happy to come back anytime, or if any of you would like to, you know, help out any of the causes in mentoring, especially the young people in Memphis or tutoring, I can certainly connect you to other places, but Rotary for sure has has a real handle on helping others in Memphis and mentoring and encouraging and affirming our young people. And I thank you for that.
Hey, Dr. McDonald, this is BJ. Just a very quick note. I want to thank you for all the work that you've done, and having had the pleasure and honor of working on a scholarship committee for many of the students' lives that you touched. It was just amazing, the challenges that these young people had overcome in their lives. Some so young, the challenges that many adults have ever seen in a lifetime. And I just want to say thank you for all the work that you've done, and just great to know you.
Well, I really appreciate that, BJ, but it's really about those children. You would not believe some of the stories and the lives that they were living and the situations and circumstances that they were dealing with, and this downward cycle of poverty that they were never going to get out of. Just knowing that somebody loved them and cared about them, and that their parents or caregivers would bring them to a school that was, bring them to a school that would love them and care about them individually. Many times I visited them in Lebanon. So many of them were victims of abuse and crimes, and trying to change those adverse childhood experiences for these children was what we were all about. To take them on a different path, to tell them, you'd be amazed what it means to hear somebody say, I love you. God loves you. We care about you. We want you to be better. You can do it. I had one little boy at one school. I was sitting there talking to him, and I asked him what he wanted to be. He was about 10. And he said, he put his hand on my shoulder. He said, I want your job. I want to be superintendent. I said, great, go for it. You know, you want them to have role models, because previously when I asked someone in one of the schools what he or she wanted to be, they would say, what do you mean be? They had no future orientation about what they could become. And so our job was to give them a future orientation, to tell them that they're better than what their neighborhood told them they were. So Thank you, BJ, for saying that, but it's all about the kids.
Dr. McDonald, before we close, this is Denise again. Rotary, are there certain things, particularly in Midtown, since that's our focus, that you feel are exceptionally worthwhile programs, whether it's bridges or any number of them? And some things might come immediately to mind that say these people could really use some help
Right.
to move forward and to help, even, a fairly small group of children if necessary, to make it practical. Can you tell us a little bit about maybe some things we might be focusing on that would help?
I think one of the biggest focuses, and I know that you have the scholarship program and you do so many great things, but one area that is really of concern is the birth to like 3 or 4-year-old programs that many of the churches are trying to do, or there's other people. Some of those, I don't want to say exactly early learning centers or daycare centers that are helping parents to be employed because they have a place to take the children, but they don't always have the resources. There's several right around your area that could use help. And if you look at focusing on the younger child and combating some of the adverse childhood effects that they would have, even helping Lebanos, many of their community programs, outreach programs that they do. But I'd be glad to share many of the places that I've worked with or helped out in the past. Absolutely. Urban Childhood Institute, any of those.
Thank you, Dr. McDonald. I definitely will get in touch with you to get some suggestions, because those are the things that we're working on now. We're trying to establish our service schedule. So I'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Will, did you have a question? Will Hand? Did you have a question?
No, I did not. I'm sorry. Did I have
Okay,
my hand up or something?
Yeah, that's okay.
All right,
Butch?
sorry.
We also want to mention too that we've also received a offer, because I guess it's an offer, to work with Bruce Elementary School
Yes, yes.
to be a virtual reader. They have once a week virtual readers, and it's been the principal for the duration of a year. And now he's asked us to help him, maybe not every time, but to help him with that initiative. And the amazing thing, he started about a year ago. About 2 months ago, he was featured on the Ellen Show for reading to his students. So that's like your thing.
That's great. That is my thing. Anything you can do to help the schools right now with the virtual learning would be just amazing, because they are all struggling with that. Most teachers were not trained to be virtual teachers. Students were not ever used to being virtual learners. And there's a big struggle, and we know that they've lost learning, and we just don't want it to go any further than this. So anything you can do to help with that, thank you, thank you, thank you. Be great.
Any other questions? One other comment I'd like to make. I think it was in the Daily Memphian. If you get a chance, members, read Dr. McDonald's article, and it's the sacrifice of helping others fly solo. And that is wonderful. So if you get a chance, read that.
Thank you.
And I want to thank you again for reminding us of just how invaluable helping others with that direct service, as far as like mentoring can be, because I don't think you can put a value on mentoring.
Yeah.
And we appreciate you very much for that. So just remind us, we know that that's what Rotary is about, but this puts us back in the frame of maybe we need to do more mentoring.
Yeah, that helps. That one-on-one really helps. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, Mr. McDonald.
my fan club.
Yes, that's a good thing.
Thank you all very much. Have a great meeting.
Thank you.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Any other comments, proclamations, commendations?
President Hall, this is a BJ one more time. Wanted to see if it'd be okay to post the link as well for the purple pinky
Please
donut.
do, please do.
Okay.
I think
I'll
Will,
It's
Will,
it's in the
I think he
chat.
already has.
Oh, okay, fantastic. Okay.
Okay,
I think it should be in the
Excellent,
chat if you want to take a look at it and confirm that's the correct information,
Right.
BJ. I don't want to.
Okay, will do. I just want to thank Midtown again for being so responsive and doing such meaningful projects in our community. Your contributions are greatly appreciated.
before you go, BJ, we'd like to introduce you to one of our new members, Dr.
All right.
Kendall White.
Hi, Dr.
Kendall,
White.
right?
Hey,
Kendall,
how are
you
you?
might have to take your sound. There you go.
Oh, I'm unmuted now, aren't I? Can't you?
Yes.
You're
Yes,
good.
you are.
Okay. Yeah, I'm excited about the opportunity. It was that mentoring piece resonated with me. I remember when Charlotte and I worked together at a middle school, and she was teaching gifted students, and I was teaching students with exceptionalities, and we were right across the hall from each other. And at the time, I think I had been teaching maybe 5 or 6 years. And I remember telling Charlotte, I said, well, I'm good with teaching. I want to do this, for the remainder of the time. So she really encouraged me to, get into administration. And I ended up going back to school to get my EDS, and I became a special ed supervisor. So, that mentoring piece is very important because you always need someone that can kind of push you to the next level. And in addition, I'm really excited about the ACEs pieces. I'm currently teaching gifted and talented students, but when you talk about adverse childhood experiences, that's a huge, I know that's one of our initiatives, but that's a huge problem in the city. And I think if we can attack at least one of the ACEs with kids through mentoring or whatever the case may be, then I think we'll be going in the right direction, definitely. But I'm excited. And good afternoon, everyone again. That I haven't spoken to.
Nice
And
to have you on board.
And we're looking forward to you leading us in the ACE, initiative, Kendall. That was great news.
Yeah, well, I'm up to the task. Actually, I had two colleagues. We did a presentation on ACEs at an administrative conference in Nashville on last year. So I'm familiar. And then when I work in the schools, that's one of the big pushes now. It's a small push with everything else that's going on with the COVID piece and the virtual learning, but there's still some great opportunities to reach out to students since we do have this opportunity to reach out virtually. So we just need to be really creative about how we approach it. And I think there's still some definite opportunities for some mentoring pieces and speaking to different groups throughout the city.
Thank you. Will?
I just wanted to say there were some members in the news lately. I was actually just trying to look at it to confirm one of the articles I read recently. I know that Valentina's firm is in the news for some recent project that's been awarded, and I apologize, I can't remember which one it was. But the other one was the mention of Keith Case and his involvement in the design of a synagogue that the congregation is now leaving on. They're on Yates. And the historical, I apologize, I'm not prepared. I don't have the full name of the synagogue, but it was a combination of synagogues that joined together and moved into that location on Yates. And I think the community members within that congregation referred to it as the Disco Synagogue because of some of the design elements that Keith and his partners incorporated in it. But I just want to give him a shout out. I don't think he's with us tonight, but if you're able to, again, that was in the Daily Memphian. It was an article about a synagogue that's moving locations. It was in yesterday or the day before's edition of the Daily Memphian. That's all I got.
Also, Emily Trenthal, she received the 2020 Mojo Award for a lot of her work in helping the community. So I think that's worth noting as well.
Well, I think we've had a great meeting. Any more comments? Any more shout outs? Kendall, we want to give you a round of applause for just becoming a part of Midtown Memphis Rotary. You know we're the best one, right?
Yeah.
And with that, I'd like to say good night, and in the words of Will, go out and serve.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everybody.
And thank you again,
All right.
Butch, for your commitment. Thank
Good
you.
to see everyone.
All right. All right. Good to see everyone.
Thank you, BJ.
Oh, thank you, Charlotte. Thanks to everyone. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.